Hello everyone, Just Podcast TV is here. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell icon to get notified on new content.
Episode 230. The chance was gone. The president's in a panic, and if this goes up, he'll be in big trouble. The relationship he had maintained these few years was at most at the provincial bank, and it was not that solid. If this matter was immediately exposed to the main branch, beside him, the deputy president, who was his trusted aide, saw through the president's thoughts and helped him relieve his worries. President, you don't have to listen to him. He is bragging. The president will only receive tens of billions of dollars from big clients. How can billions of small caterpillars enter the president's eyes? That's why you don't have to worry at all. It'll be fine. Just as the deputy branch president was trying to persuade him, the branch president angrily cursed. What do you know? Ignoring the deputy president, who had been scolded, the president went to find Zach again. He said with a smile, Sir, why are you doing this? This is not a big deal. I didn't say I wouldn't help, did I? Rules are dead, and people are alive. I can totally think of a way. Zach said, Now you think of the rules. Those who are dead are alive. You didn't think about it when you were thinking about my money, did you? Come on, tell me. The standard you gave me was a few billion, and you just let it go when you talked about a few billion? Zach's question made the president, whose mind had been exposed, feel very awkward. He didn't know what to do. Behind Zach, Campbell saw the president and vice president being defeated and felt very happy in her heart. However, she didn't dare to show it on her face. After all, these two were her leaders. If they were to be bullied again after the incident. While Campbell was thinking about it, the president, who had nothing else to say, turned to scold Danny. Aren't you learning from Rabbit? Quickly squat down and go to school. Otherwise, your crystal supermarket will really be strangled to death. Danny was used to being arrogant. Who would have thought that he would have to meet a true expert today? He only heard the sound of the money being thrown. He felt a little fearful in his heart and didn't have the slightest bit of confidence. At this time, even the president had admitted defeat. He naturally did not dare to have any more thoughts of being a bull. Although it was very embarrassing to learn how to dance like a little bunny and have to sing like a child's song, this was nothing compared to Crystal Supermarket being played to death. After figuring this out, Danny quickly squatted down and placed his hands next to his ears to scratch his ears. Then he jumped around on the ground. Seeing Danny jumping around, the vice president naturally had no more hope and could only squat on the ground and jump around again. When he got closer, Zach asked the vice president with a smile on his face, Hey, don't jump yet. Let me ask you. You just said that you can't do whatever you want in the bank, even if you have money. Let me ask you now. Tell me, can you do whatever you want in the bank? The vice president was already in his 50s. Now, he was smiling coyly and squatting in front of Zach. This made him very unhappy. But no matter how unhappy he was, he still had to smile with him. He had to wipe the tears that were in his pants. He replied with a flattering smile, Yes, yes. He didn't even need to look in the mirror to see his own appearance. Just listening to the flattering voice of the deputy president made him feel like he was embarrassing himself to death. In front of Campbell, in front of the other employees in the big client room, he actually lowered his head and admitted his mistake like a scolded child. He even had to jump around on the ground like a rabbit. He really felt that it was very embarrassing. But thinking about how embarrassing it was to be able to protect the position of deputy president that he had obtained with great difficulty, he decided to continue embarrassing himself. It was a pity that he had thought too much into it. The president smiled at Zach and said, Sir, you can see. Why don't you call the headquarters and tell them about it? Zach waved his hand and said, No need to say that. I don't like you. I don't like him either. I don't like Danny either. Have I even given you guys a chance? I did, but none of you took it. One is playing tricks on me. Sure, how that matter has been settled, you guys can do as you see fit. Anyway, there is no medicine for regret. After Zach finished mocking them, the president's phone rang. In the next moment, a phone call came through. It was the provincial bank's leader. The president had just put on a serious expression when he said on the other end of the phone, "You are amazing. I have been working for so many years, but my name has not been remembered by the previous president. You have only been here for what, 3 years? And the president has already remembered you. He even specifically called you out. Oh, you are awesome. Seeing that you're so excellent and awesome, you can stop being the president. Come down. And that deputy president of yours, ask him to get out of here and see if he can find a better job in other banks. If he can't, then what right does he have to push a super big client out? The secretary of the CEO personally called me and said that the CEO was furious when he received the complaint. He claimed that the reason his savings were not up to par over the years was because he had idiots like you under him. All right, I won't tell you anymore. I believe that you have also received the faxes from the CEO. That's it. From the beginning until the end, the president didn't even have the time to say a single word. Then, before he could realize it, he was fired. Originally, he was still thinking about the huge profits and the performance, but now he didn't even manage to keep his own throne. The deputy president was so scared that he collapsed to the ground, and even the president was staring at him, not knowing what to do. He had no other choice. Everything could only be blamed on fate. It was fate that made him make such a silly choice. In the end, he killed himself. After that, a staff member brought over the genuine mail. It was a direct deposit from the headquarters. They ordered the two of them to immediately stop all work at hand and withdraw their original duties, waiting for the provincial staff to handle it on the spot. It was not just the phone call. Now that even an official order had been given, the two of them were completely hopeless. However, Danny felt that there was still a chance. He wasn't a bank employee, so the bank wouldn't give him orders. Although the bank could cut off the financial chain of his Crystal supermarket, it hadn't been cut off yet. There was a chance if he did not pinch it. Thus, Danny once again jumped up and down on the ground and repeatedly apologized to Campbell. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I was wrong before. You can kick me and slap me. Please, please, forgive me. Danny felt that he was quite smart. He could tell that Zach punished him because of Campbell, so he wanted to please Campbell. Then Campbell forgave him, so Zach naturally would forgive him. But reality proved that he was too arrogant before, so Campbell completely ignored him. Danny begged for quite a while, and his heart became more and more anxious. His legs were sore to the point that they were so sore, but he still insisted on jumping around. Really, please, I was really wrong. I won't dare do it again in the future. I'm begging you. At this moment, Danny was like a pitiful worm. He no longer had the slightest bit of arrogance and dignity that he had before. The president, who had regained his senses, also started to beg for forgiveness, hoping that Campbell would forgive his mistake. He even started to jump around like an old white rabbit, the kind that did not have a few hairs on his head. After the two of them begged for mercy, the president also started to squat on the ground and pretend to be a little rabbit, begging Zach and Campbell for forgiveness. The doors and windows of the big client room were completely transparent tempered glass, so everyone could see the three of them jumping around and begging for forgiveness. Thus, everyone clapped and cheered, happily seeing these fellows who went too far, squatting on the ground and jumping around like rabbits. However, no matter how much the three of them jumped, Zach still wouldn't let them go. Just like what had happened after 2 hours of waiting for the people from the provincial bank to come, the two main and deputy managers were all beaten up. As for Danny, who had been so arrogant before, Zach patted his head and said, "Continue to be arrogant in the future. When your Crystal Supermarket goes bankrupt, I want to see what you can do." After that, Zach turned to the person from the provincial bank and ordered, "Cut the loan chain of the Crystal Supermarket. No more Crystal Supermarkets are allowed to survive." Episode 231. Hold on tight. Zach was domineering. He immediately gave the order to the leaders of the bank. Although the leader was very unhappy in his heart, he knew that Zach could reach the heavens, so he still smiled and stayed by Zach's side. As for Danny, Zach thought that he was nothing more than an insect. As for Crystal Supermarket, it could die wherever Zach wanted. Compared to this wealthy and powerful man, Crystal Supermarket was nothing. After understanding the whole matter, the state government's leaders and the state government made the final decision. The two main and deputy directors were removed, and the loan funds of Crystal Supermarket were filed for appeal because it was against the rules. What surprised everyone the most was that Campbell had gotten the favor of the state leaders because of her familiarity with the business, her loyalty, and the good reputation of the public. She was promoted to acting president and took office effective immediately. Campbell was shocked. She had never thought that she could still be president. In the past, she did not dare to dream about it for the rest of her life. Now, her dream suddenly came true. One had to know that there were still a few labels between the lobby manager and the president, just like how the class monitor suddenly mentioned the leader. Campbell was so shocked that she did not know what to do. Leader, my business ability is not good. I do not know what I should do and what I can do as a president. You should think about it again." After Campbell finished speaking, the state leader waved his hand. "Hey, it's okay. Young people should train and learn. Neil Armstrong had to be taught how to walk on the moon well before he got on the rocket. This didn't stop him from trying and learning to be one of the few men to land on a different celestial body. I think you will do well." Such a popular excuse on the internet was actually used to explain why Campbell could be president. This made Campbell very speechless, but she quickly understood this president was not because of her ability at all. It was because of Zach. Zach, who she had thought was a staff member of the finance company, had suddenly unleashed such a powerful force, shocking her. Not only that, even the state bank's leaders were eagerly running over to deal with it. There was a book that said that a person would meet 3 different people in his lifetime. As long as he could catch one of them, he would be able to make a meteoric rise in his life. At first, Campbell did not believe it. She felt that it did not matter whether a person was important or not. The most important thing was that she had to work hard. But today, she believed it. Zach was clearly the benefactor in her life. Compared to the influence that Zach had brought, it did not matter whether she worked hard or not. What was important was that she had met this benefactor. After being influenced by Zach today, she had actually stepped into the sky and became the acting president. This was simply amazing. The former president, deputy president, and Danny were all chased away. Not long after that, the cash collected from the other banks was pulled away by cash trucks. They dragged $30 million cash along with Zach and went to the Dream Group. This made the bank staff stunned again. They would never dare to let the bank do something like delivering goods to their doorstep for the rest of their lives. After Zach and the state leader left, countless people came over to congratulate Campbell. "Campbell! No, President Campbell, you are so beautiful. You actually reached the sky in a single bound." "Congratulations, President Campbell. In the future, under your command, I will work for you. I hope you can guide me. Ha ha! All kinds of congratulations and all kinds of envy. Regardless of whether they had gotten along well in the past or not, they were all gathered around Campbell now. Feeling the change in everyone's attitude and the special flattery, although Campbell did not really like it, she was still very happy. After all, she would be the president in the future. It could be considered a small achievement. Beside her, a good sister who had a good relationship with Campbell hugged her arm. Campbell, that rich person is chasing you, right? Campbell was slightly stunned, and the good sister continued. Definitely, he is so rich and handsome. If he did not want to pursue you, why would he stand up for you? So I think that he must be pursuing you. You have to grasp it well. What nonsense are you talking about? Campbell pouted and did not continue with this topic. But in her heart, she was thinking about it. Maybe that rich man really thought that way. At this time, the rich man in Campbell's heart was driving back to the company with a cash truck behind him. Those who did not know would think that it was a cash truck. Zach's Mercedes-Benz G63 was opening a path for the cash truck. The car sped along and finally arrived at the company's entrance. Immediately after, the box containing cash was taken down and brought upstairs. In the office area, everyone was whispering to each other, inquiring about how the year-end reward would be distributed. Director Marquez has been spending a lot of money recently. He's been fighting in the business world. I'm afraid he's running out of money. Everyone was muttering to themselves. Ken, who had been Zach's secretary, said, "Let's work according to the rules." Director Marquez, Director Kate, what kind of person are you? It's not like you guys don't know. When did they ever cheat you? They will also organize staff gatherings from time to time. All of them are paid by the boss himself. What did you guys say at that time? The boss is a good man. Long live the boss. It's good now. I haven't said I won't give it to you. It's just a few days late. Look at all of you. All of you are so anxious. Ken was the leader. No one could say much. More importantly, Ken was right. Zach and Kate really did not owe them anything. Instead, they received all kinds of benefits. So after Ken said that, they lowered their heads and continued working. However, not long after, someone shouted, "Buck! Zach was brought here with a gun!" When he said this, everyone was shocked. Ken quickly went to the company's entrance to take a look. After taking a look, he was both angry and happy. You make it sound like Director Marquez was arrested. This is clearly the bank's depositor. Although Ken recognized the identity of the deposit officer, he could not understand why the deposit officer would come to this company. It was not until Zach entered the office and called him in that he understood what Zach wanted to do. Our year-end bonus will send red packets directly. There are 4 levels of red packets. Level 4, $6,000. Level 3, $60,000. Level 2, $600,000. And level 1, $6 million. Zach was still talking, but Ken was dumbfounded. Was there such an end-of-year bonus? Was he crazy? He was throwing money at someone. No wonder the depositors were here. This should bring back tens of millions of cash, right? Zach then drew up a list of rewards and handed it to Ken. Go, distribute it to the organization. When Ken saw that he was on the second file on the list, he felt particularly unhappy. $600,000. Of course it felt good. Director Marquez, how about you cut my name off from the second file? As Ken was talking, Zach waved his hand. Everyone has worked hard for a year, and you have worked hard for a year as well. Everyone saw how much time you worked overtime to leave at night. You still have to take care of your child when you go home. You work as usual the next day. You are very outstanding. With Zach's words, Ken was crying. He remembered that he had been really tired in the past 6 months. He did not dare to delay his work. He had to serve his wife and children. No one could understand this kind of tiredness. But Zach, as the boss, had noticed. So Ken was really touched. Episode 232. She thought too much. Director Marquez said that everyone worked all day in the company. It was hard work, so no matter whether they worked hard or not, whether they were good or not, or whether they made any achievements, there was a year-end bonus. However, if you don't work hard and get less year-end bonus, then you can't blame anyone else. Standing in the middle of the office area, Ken introduced the standard for the year-end bonus distribution to everyone. The year-end bonus is divided into 4 levels. Those who don't work hard and dawdle on normal days will receive a $6,000 year-end bonus. For those who fulfill the company's rules and follow the company's rules and regulations, the year-end bonus is $60,000. For those who perform excellently in the company and have been praised twice or multiple times, will receive an annual bonus of $600,000. For those who have made a sudden and irreplaceable contribution to the company, those will receive an annual bonus of $6 million. In addition, the year-end bonus will be given in cash on the spot. When Ken said those words, the entire office was stunned. It was too domineering. $60,000 for the year-end bonus? As long as he abided by the rules and regulations and completed his daily work, he would be able to receive it? This was simply spending money. $60,000 for the year-end bonus, plus the monthly salary, added up to more than $100,000. In an instant, it was a huge stride in the era of health, making everyone extremely excited. However, there were also people who appeared especially regretful. If they had known earlier, they would not have been able to fucking mingle around during normal days. They thought about how they would get the same salary no matter how hard they tried. Hence, they started to mix around and not work hard. If they could drag it out, they would drag it out. If they could slack off, well, they would slack off. Now that it was the end of the year, the difference was obvious. The key was that those who received $6,000 had to welcome the gazes of those people who were showing off. It was as if they were saying, "Didn't you say that we were stupid and wouldn't slack off in the past? Now that we're stupid and paid for it, you're smart and you took $6,000. Are you satisfied? Why are you so happy about it, big idiot?" Everyone received their year-end bonus. Most of them were happy and excited. But there are also people complaining happily. "There's so much cash. How can we bring it home? It's so unsafe on the road." Just as they were complaining, a bank staff member came over with a cash detector and office equipment. "Everyone, don't worry about the safety of the cash. Our bank was entrusted by Director Marquez to come and serve everyone. We just need to deposit the cash at the scene into our bank." After the staff member said this, everyone was very excited. At this time, it was really convenient for them to make a move. But there were also many people who thought of the key point. This Zach was a real bull. He was able to let people in his company go to the bank and register their deposits on the spot. An ordinary person wouldn't be able to do that, right? The happiest person now was Ken, a $600,000 year-end bonus. He didn't even know how to tell his family about this that night. He was so excited that he wanted to jump up and shout, "Long live the boss!" He thought about how he could work with Zach. This was the greatest fortune in his life. Invisibly, Zach had become a benefactor to him and many other people. Because of Zach, they had changed their current and future living conditions. Sitting in the boss's chair, Kate looked through the one-way window at the employees cheering outside. She smiled and shook her head. "You're right. Why do you have to send cash? It could be better if you just transfer it into their bank account." Zach chuckled and said, "How can that be the same? There are only a bunch of numbers in your bank card. How can it be as solid as 6 stacks of cash? As a boss, you have to let the employees know how much money you have contributed." "All right, you always have a point." Kate's joke came out of her mouth and was pressed onto the chair by Zach. Both of their foreheads were pressed a little. The next moment, Zach said to her, "Then if I am always right, then we should always follow my lead, right?" Kate was so shy. How could she not know what Zach meant? However, just as the two of them started to have fun, Zach's phone rang. It was an unknown number. He did not recognize it, but it was from the local area. There was no advertisement or anything like that. Zach thought for a while and then picked up the phone. "Hello, who is this?" Hello, Director Marquez. I am Campbell. Sorry, I found your number from the client's information. I didn't mean anything else. I just wanted to treat you to dinner and thank you for helping me this afternoon. Campbell was very nervous. After thinking for a while, she decided to call Zach this presumptuous number to express the gratitude in her heart. But she was still a little worried. She was worried that if Zach had any thoughts about her and took advantage of the opportunity tonight to do that again, she would be very embarrassed. Therefore, she was thinking about whether she should add another sentence. She really did not have any other intentions to prevent Zach from having any thoughts about her. Campbell was pondering about it on the other side. Zach wasn't idle either. After Kate's rosy little mouth kissed, Zach replied, "I'm not going. I have a girlfriend. Thank you for your good intentions." With just one sentence, Campbell almost choked to death. She was still thinking about what Zach would do to her if he had any thoughts about her. Would she agree or not? After all, he was so handsome and rich, and he even helped her. He seemed to have some feelings for her, but who would have thought that he would shamelessly say that he had a girlfriend, and that he didn't want to play with her at all? This made Campbell angry. However, in order to prove that she wasn't going for that kind of idea, she still invited him warmly. "It's purely to thank you. Just take your girlfriend with you. Don't tell me you won't even give me a chance to thank you. I'm still thinking of getting a big client like you." Since Campbell had already said so, Zach naturally had no reason to object, so he readily agreed. After ending the call, looking at Kate's smiling eyes, Zach smiled and asked, "Why? Are you curious who called?" Kate turned her head to the side and snorted, "I don't care who it is. Anyway, you have plenty of women, so you don't need me anymore." "Oh?" Zach said, and then asked, "Really?" Kate wanted to nod, but in the end, she changed it to a pink fist and gave Zach a light punch. "I'm kidding." The shy look of the beauty in front of him made Zach like her even more in his heart. He intimately rubbed Kate's head before talking about the things that happened in the bank during the day. After Kate heard it, she asked, "This is not your style. If you want to be a hero and save the beauty, there are many ways. In the past, you never showed off your wealth, but today your actions are especially flamboyant. You don't tell me you have other intentions."